I'd like to call to order the Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 at 5 p.m, being held and transmitted electronically via the council chambers located at 39 South Shore Road, Lake Cowichan, BC. I'd ask my fellow councillors any introduction of late items. Councillor Sandhu.
I'm just wondering if we had a date for our planning session.
I don't think we've finalized a date for that yet, but I think we would have to look at perhaps having that in an open meeting. As we had discussed, perhaps a workshop, but there is some interest from the public on viewing the strategic plan update. And I think that's probably appropriate that we look at an open meeting for that. So we have not finalized a date for that, and we will look in the next month or two to try to accommodate that.
I have two agenda items under new business. I'd like one to be Charlie Pollock's treatment coverage, and then also under new business, I just want to clarify with the CVRD beer resistant cans rolling out what our plan is for the town. And with Charlie Pollock's treatment. And with that, do I have a mover to approve the agenda? Councillor Sandhu, seconded by Councillor Vamaka. All those in favour? Moved. Next up, we have public input. So if anyone would like to get up to the podium and comment about any agenda items tonight that are on the agenda, you have 3 minutes. You have to get up and state your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Is there anyone would like to speak? Shall I run through them, or have we got a copy?
We do have copies of the agenda.
Oh, here we go. It's on the screen. Can we scroll down?
Just bear with us.
Oh, sorry.
Secretary returning.
Could we scroll down the agenda items so we can show public what's on the agenda? I can run through them quickly if you wish. So there's different ones. There's two delegations. There's ones with a new protocol with the Subatsit First Nation. We've got a delegate about disc golf. We have a bunch of reports. We also have council input on budget. We have sunscreen update. We have viewing area for Pine and Prospect Avenue. Progress on, that's the one you want to talk about? Okay, have a go.
Just push the button on the mic.
Okay, good evening. My name is Terry Clausen. I live at 33 Cowichan Avenue East. The agenda item I just wanted to talk about, I've been given some background information. Sorry, I'll do in the proper order here. My initial concern or request to council was to look at the public right-of-way that is between number 2 and number 4 Prospect Road, Prospect Avenue. And I noticed from the town map that there is a public right-of-way there. And my thought initially was that would be a wonderful place to go and have a dip after work. I'd just live around the corner. And so I forwarded letters to council with this proposal, with this idea. Carolyn was nice enough to return the email and gave me some historical perspective on it as far as the area is, how it may not be suitable for swimming in that area. It drops off apparently quite deep, quite quickly. And so without something like a dock, it may not be suitable for that. However, I also wondered about preserving this public right of way and maybe just it being cleared and a bench installed so that it would be a nice place for people of that neighborhood, of that area to go and, especially in the summertime, to enjoy the river. That's all. That was my con. All my con. You got the idea.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else wanting to do some public input? No? Okay, we'll move on to, just for information, minutes of the committee of the whole meeting for January 14th. Any comments on that? No? Seeing that, I'll move on. No business arising or unfinished business? No? We'll move on to our delegation. We've got our delegates tonight. First, we have the Subatsit First Nation, the ratification of a new protocol agreement. Who would like to speak to that? How would you like this to work?
Would you like to come up to the podium and just introduce the relationship and the re-signing of the protocol, if you could?
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Council. We're here to sort of re-sign our existing protocol. It expired about a year ago, and through a lot of trials and tribulations through health and all that, we weren't able to get around to it, but we had a meeting back in October with Mayor and Council and staff, and we had brought the clean copy of a new copy to sort of re-sign and recommit ourselves to working collaboratively together on various initiatives in the Cowichan Lake area for not only for our nation, but for the prosperity of all people in the Cowichan Lake area. So brought Chief and Council here to sign. And yeah.
So first of all, I would just like to thank you for coming tonight and joining us in this historic event. I was privy to the first signing of this as a counselor and was very taken back by the process of that, as we did it at Saywell Park under the shelter there. So now that we have this nice new council chamber, I think it's appropriate that we do sign it here, and look forward to many more years of collaborative approaches as we move forward, not only as friends, but as neighbors. So thank you.
I just want to add, when the weather is more cooperative, we'll do a more formal signing and some celebration and pictures and that, but just that'll be in the spring sort of time. So I give you a heads up.
So on behalf of Mayor and Council, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Again, Clayco, appreciate all the work that we have done in the past. Look forward to our future endeavors together, making both communities one community. Thank you kindly.
Thank you for that, everyone. Tough act to follow here, Sam. I mean, disc golf's important, but not so much. Just an introduction to Sam Warning. He's going to talk about the possible locations for a disc golf course in Lake Cowichan. He has 7 minutes to speak, and a reminder, we don't make any decisions on anything tonight. If you do need longer to chat, then we can extend that. So over to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Sam Warning. I'm a Lake Cowichan resident at 7780 Ubo Road. And I'm representing a group of basically enthusiasts in the area here. Basically, a short time ago, just in the fall, disc golf's been something that's been important to me for a long time. And a few of us sort of got together on an online forum, started talking about disc golf, saying that, you know, it'd be really great to have something going on here in our local area. There's a ton of other benefits and everything like that, both to us as residents, as the community at whole. I'll get into them just a little bit too. I'm not going to try not to go on too much here. Put my glasses on so I stay on track here. Yeah, basically we came together just wanting to create something for our community, a venue and a place where we could get out in nature, a little bit of goal setting and accomplishment, and building a bit of a community. We've all sort of been on the same page that all our society as a whole really has been lacking a lot of the elements of community over the last few years, and we all need, you know, avenues and places to get out and do things together. Remind ourselves that, you know, we all have a lot more in common than we do have in difference, and this is basically our attempt at doing that very thing. Basically, just so that everybody sort of is on the same page and has an understanding, disc golf is a sport, and it's sort of a fairly casual sport. It scores a lot like ball golf in that you have a tee pad, you play towards a target using frisbee discs, something like this here. I've got a putter, I've got a mid-range or an iron, basically, and we've got a bent mic. And we've got a driver, basically, which would be like your wood to throw long distances. And so I wanted to make sure that everybody was on the same page and wasn't just guessing what's this guy talking about kind of thing, right? So there's over 15,000 disc golf courses on the planet right now in over 40 different countries. Really well utilized. It's been on a huge growth spurt the last few years. Since 2022, there's been over 200 new courses made each year in North America alone here. It's exploding right now. We see them all over our great province here and all over our great nation, the United States. Both those countries really huge. It's been in Europe for decades. Chemainus Fuller Lake is building a national level tournament course there right now and putting a ton of money and infrastructure into that one there, with the confidence that it's going to bring people into the community. The national level players and whatnot attract all kinds of crowd and audience, and they come for days and stay in hotels and campgrounds, patron the shops and stuff like that in town. And it's not just those people that are coming to these areas. Basically, there's a huge movement right now, and I'm part of that. We're all part of that, where literally we'll go on, find a couple of disc golf courses and plan a trip sort of around doing that. I played in Portland recently. We go all the time to the Gulf Islands. Main Island's got a fantastic one. Salt Spring, Pender, all these places. And so we'll not only go and play a disc golf course, we'll go over there. We'll maybe stop at the cidery. We'll grab some charcuterie. We'll have a picnic in the park or something like that. Enjoy ourselves, spend some time in that community. And the way I see it and the way we see it, that's really going to be a boon to our community too, because as people are doing the circle route or something like that, it'll give them an opportunity, if they're, you know, enjoying our great area and everything like that, they can stay a couple more hours. They're more likely to grab something to eat or pop into a shop. Just give them that extra reason to stick around. So those are sort of some of the community benefits, but from a personal benefit, even more so, it's basic goal setting and accomplishment. You have a target, you're moving towards it. It's a non-moving target, which in this day and age feels, you know, metaphorically pretty hard to find in a lot of ways, right? Yeah, basically there's that. You're in nature, you're taking it all in there. You meet new friends. I didn't know these characters before basically we started doing this, and now I have some, you know, what I believe to be lifelong friends actually at this point in time, and it's all happened really quickly and really easily, really effortlessly. As you're walking along, you're sharing things about yourself and you're meeting new people and doing all these things. And so, yeah, there's all kinds of, there's an app out there so people can find us. They can find other disc golf courses. They can find businesses that are affiliated with it and whatnot. There's a ton of infrastructure already out there and a huge community of people that are chomping at the bit for this, as we've proven, as our Facebook group basically grew from less than 6 months ago to over 300 active members just almost overnight. It really has exploded, and these people are like active and really wanting it. And I've got a bunch of testimonials that I can share if I've got to, if I don't run out of time, give it a gabbing. And so basically, yeah, the types of courses that are used, just to get a little bit of background on that, 40% of the courses used are in public spaces. It'll be alongside a public park, something like that. They can put targets in and use basically just spaces within the public park. Bowen Park in Nanaimo is a great example of that. Where they're all coexisting, and basically it's you know, they've got dog sections and golf sections, and the disc golf kind of just intermingles its way all around there, and it's really well used. Those places are always busy. You're actually waiting to sort of tee up and everything like that. Literally thousands, tens of thousands of people per year at these big courses. And so there's courses like that. There's courses like Chemainus has a little one called Latitude. It's right in the trees, sort of in the middle of a subdivision in there. And it's a really user-built course. It's just sort of for the people, by the people, interweaving through nature and whatnot. They're, instead of using the big sprawling spaces in the bigger parks, they're in a much more condensed area and use things like trees and bushes and things like that to add difficulty level. So you're not just sort of throwing your disc in there. You got to get around stuff. And so, yeah. And then you'll see them in all kinds of places: schoolyards, churches, campgrounds, ski resorts are doing it these days. It's really, really blossomed and been really popular, and people are finding it lucrative, and lots of community health benefits and community building benefits all the way around. And so, yeah, we've really started, we did a little pop-up thing last year there. We got a ton of support, tons of people coming out. It's definitely, it's clear to all of us that this community is absolutely ready. And if any of you have read the comments online or followed any of my stuff online, you'll see the community's ready for it and really open to it. We've had a few people, you know, basically with, you know, worrying about money or this or that. And basically to that, I say, really, we want to have a bit of a grassroots movement here. We have all the makings of a not-for-profit society. We've had an accountant come forward and state that they would like to actually help us to create a not-for-profit society. Governing bodies like the PDGA, the Professional Disc Golf Association there, and the BC Disc Golf Association have offered us grants and monies so that if we want to actually increase our infrastructure and make, you know, basically our course better, there's monies there for it. We can do fundraising and draw from our community as well as the people who want to use it basically to the members of the course. And so the cost to the city, really, what I'm here for is we need a venue. As we sort of were moving around in through the community, we looked and we've been walking through trails and this and that. We found the spot at the front of A.B. Greenwell School, and really we didn't know how big this was going to get. A couple of us went out there. We're like, well, there's some space in the woods here. Let's throw some discs and everything. That really was fine and good for the fall and everything. That's fantastic. We love that spot. We actually, I'll go on to say that I love that spot where it is for the community, everything like that. But we've realized that we've kind of got a bunch of people behind us now. We want to make this happen, and we don't want to sort of put a bunch of time and energy and work into something that is not going to work. We appreciate that we just sort of went and did that, and that's not in the city plan and whatnot. And so we'd like to be able to have insurance and infrastructure and all those sorts of things. And we're willing to come to the table and provide those things, but not without permission, obviously. And so, yeah, basically that's where we're at. It's funny that that A.B. Greenwell school site, it really does lend itself. It's a really great area, just the wooded area at the front there, outside of the fences. We're not worried about the inside of the fence per se, where the dog parks are or the unofficial dog park is, all that sort of stuff. But really that wooded area, the trailed area up at the front. And we've been doing our best to sort of be stewards of that area. Cleaning up the trails, removing invasive species like holly and broom, not taking out trees or anything like that, but, you know, respecting that area and actually trying to highlight that area. And so, yeah, basically that's where we've sort of been playing at the current time. And I know that that's ALR, and there's some, you know, whatever's going on there. That's obviously not my decision. And I'm basically here to ask, like, can we continue to use that space, or is there another space that we can dedicate our energy to and have something that's a little more permanent, long-term and lasting in order to move forward, basically, and keep disc golf in the community? Like, I think I see you all nodding your heads. Like, I think that it's a valid thing for us to do. It's free to walk on. You know, I always want to keep it that way. I really want to actually, the Sabatsit Nation, I've been talking with those guys too. I'd really love to add an educational element with any signage that we put on, you know, referring to the First Nations languages and whatnot too. Yeah, that's really sort of it in a nutshell, I guess. I'm nervous up here. It really is something that it really
Don't be,
is something
don't be nervous. We're characters up here too.
Yeah.
I don't think these people out here are characters,
that-
as you had stated earlier. But if I may, Mr. Chair, just the problem with the AB Greenwell site that you spoke of is the whole section, not just the school site, belongs to the school board.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, if that is the avenue that you wish to locate permanently, that reaching out to them as a first step.
Okay.
Secondly, to maybe work alongside our superintendent of public works, looking for an alternate site should not be accommodated.
Okay.
The problem with AB Greenwell is a tripartite problem. It's Crown land, it's ALR, and it's public institutional. So it's very complex piece of property
Fair enough.
that we are trying to accommodate some uses in that as well. But with the ALR, non-farm use would be the application that you would have to go for to even utilize it as recreation. So I'm just giving you a heads up on.
Yeah, well,
ownership.
that's what I'm here, because I know I've had a couple of conversations with a couple of you on different levels and everything like that. And I really just wanted to sort of, let's make this official. If this isn't going to work, we want to work towards something that is. And I'm not like, yeah, our feet aren't dug in on anything. We just really want to make it work. Like I say, the reason I'm nervous and whatnot is I feel like there's a lot at stake here. I really believe that there's a true value to our community and to basically on so many different levels and whatnot. So yeah, I really would like to make it work, and whether it's you know, with the city planner or whatever has to happen there, I don't know what to do next. So
Well, I would
But-
suggest you reach out to the school district 79,
Okay.
the superintendent of the school district, and just reach out with your possible use of that
Yep.
as they are the owners. And then from there, if that falls through, if you reach out to our superintendent of public works, Mr. Sandu, and see if there's any other alternatives. I don't see a problem utilizing that short term,
Okay.
in my view, but I do not sit on the Board of Education. I'm not part of that group. And if you're nervous talking to us, just think how we feel. No, actually, we appreciate your presentation, and we have discussed this on the phone a couple of times. And
Yeah.
appreciate you coming and presenting as a delegation for all of us to see. Thanks.
Yeah. We just want to follow the rules too. So
I was just going to suggest also is reaching out to the school board chair, Kathy Smith, along with the superintendent, just kind of get some political feed in there on their end, and then she could kind of also guide
Perfect,
you
yeah.
on that.
I've had a lot of interest from the high school and the public schools here too. I've spoken to several teachers who really want to get students involved in everything too, right? And getting to know the a little bit of the story of the Greenwell school there and everything too. I actually, just as it happened to Davin Greenwell, the grandson of Archie Greenwell, actually came into my store one day. He's basically, we just started talking. He's like, he saw a little bit of disc golf stuff there in Swordford, and he's like, oh man, disc golf, I just wish there was one here. And I'm like, as a matter of fact, you know, we're actually like really pushing for one, and we've sort of been horsing around in the forest up the hill here or whatever. He's like, well, where's that? And I said, oh, it's the old AB Greenwell school site. And he just stops and he pulls out his phone. He's like, that's my grandpa, AB Greenwell, right there. And so there is enough there, and we like the area that for the neighborhood there and everything like that too. We think it could be a real asset. And so I appreciate all of your advice and assistance assistance on that. I may come and lean on you guys just a little bit more too, to just help me get this, like, really, again, like just trying to do something positive for our community and for our town and everything. I've only been here a few years, and I really do love it here. And so like, I want to give something back, right? So.
Thanks, Sam. You know, I've been a supporter since the first time I saw the gleam in your eye. And I've read all the online supports, and I'm really happy. It's the same as the Bob Day when he started the bike course. And again, with pickleball, it was just a passion from groups who came and said, this is what we're interested in and this is what we'd like. And so I'm in full support. And so I'm wondering, and I'll have to ask the mayor, whether the town and the First Nations would be able to, or should we hold it off to have a letter of support for him when he goes to the school board?
I'll yield to the CAO. In my opinion, I think the reach out should come from the group first. If there is an interest in accommodating that, then a letter of support could follow. Would that be appropriate, Joseph?
Back to the Crown, okay. And so does that change my approach then?
Certainly does.
Yeah, okay.
Now you would reach out to the province through your MLA,
Okay.
perhaps, Miss Deborah Toporowski, and she can point you to the appropriate ministry to look for perhaps temporary use of that
Yeah,
until.
That's, I mean, we can't guarantee. I'm not looking for 100 years, or anything like that.
But in the interim, you can reach out to the school board on the Friendship Park, which
Okay.
is adjacent to Paulson.
Yeah.
That's a treat area also,
Yeah.
beside Country Grocer, that
Yeah.
maybe could accommodate some intertwined.
My concern and my thought with that was that it is a riparian area, and therefore, like, it just felt to me like it's a little bit small, and then also I just worry about the logistics of modifying riparian areas and everything like that too. It really is at the forefront of my attention too, to be respectful of, right from the First Nations who are originally here, all the way through to the plants and the trees and everything that grow right now. I do want to keep it as a, it's important to me that it's immersive and nature-based, and really, a win on all levels. I don't want to, that's why I'm here, is I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I want to make this happen. Like, be clear. I want to make something happen and everything like that. And even the Subatsit Nation has sort of said too, if there isn't a space here, they're willing to talk. And so we have other avenues and everything like that. Just the way this one has sort of come to be, and it would be really nice to see that space preserved as a green space for that community as well too, right? So yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Sam. As I said before, we may be getting to some boring stuff, so if you did want to take off, you could. No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any correspondence. Moving on to reports, we have Finance Director of Finance. Mr. Fernandez, would you like to speak on that at all?
In the report from the Director of Finance, the year end is not finalized yet for 2024, so there's still entries that have to be recorded. At this stage of the game, it shows a surplus. That might change by the time all of the entries are made for amortization and those issues, and it could end up being a deficit. So if there are any questions, and this also reflects the 2025 budget. And as you can see from the budget that's reflected for the 2025, all of the capital requirements that the department heads have put in are there. So if they were all approved by council, we would have a deficit for this year.
Any questions on this report? Well, we'll move on. we have for our information the Lake Cowichan bylaw officers report. Any comments on that? Madam McGonigal.
So I'm just wondering, given the report itself and the identifiables, whether we should be looking at redacting similar to the fire department's incident reports, just on the addresses, et cetera. I'm just thinking about privacy issues, et cetera. We can leave the incidents as stated and whether or not they have been cleared or still in the process. I'm just wondering if that should be similar to the fire department one.
Yeah, moving along, we have the Lake Cowichan Fire Department incident report for December. Would anyone like to move the amount of $8,236.58 for December? Councillor Austin, seconded by Councillor Vomaka. Call the question. All those in favour? That is moved. And then we have another fire department report for January. Anyone would like to move the amount of $6,695.53? Madam McGonigal, seconded by Councillor Vomaka. You guys are making me work today. All those in favour? That is passed. Thank you. Next up, we have council input on budget. Madam McGonigal.
Thank you very much. Just putting this forward as we have had the preliminary budget from staff on their capital projects. But I think it's important that council have input as to what they would like to see implemented in the budget. There has been discussions in the past of re-implementing the ornamental garbage cans and replacing them with bear-resistant ones throughout town. We did have a presentation from the Chamber of Commerce on a grant opportunity and maybe collaborating to accommodate some placement of those throughout the community. So that was one that we were looking at perhaps implementing, not all in 1 year, but to look at how we would move forward. And then any other smaller projects that council sees as maybe incentive for the community betterment, I think is important that we have some input into that discussion. I did have some preliminary discussions with the senior management team on some of the issues that you had brought forward for what could be placed within the budget. So looking forward to the budget discussion to see how those were implemented in the discussions. And then coming forward to the final decision, that would be the opportunity for us as council to look at the capital projects. And if we feel it's too much, then we can trim, cut, or sustain whatever we feel is appropriate, trying to accommodate staying within our OCP, staying with our strategic plan. So those are the guiding documents of how we should be looking at budgets moving forward. Thank you.
Just on that subject, are we looking for a session for this council input on budget with the department heads, or how do we want to attack this?
I think once we establish when the budget discussions will take place, that would be the opportunity for council input. And prior to approval of the budget would be the time for us to implement any changes at that time, prior to approval of the budget. So I'm looking for a budget meeting to be accommodated in the very near future, where we can begin the discussion on not only the senior management team's budget input, but also council's possible input. And we can weigh the pros and cons of our decisions at that time. So hopefully that will happen in the very near future. If I'm not mistaken, the deadline for approving the budget is March, is it not?
May 15th,
May 15th?
adoption of the bylaw.
Adoption of the bylaw by May 15th. So we do have a little bit of time to implement some of that discussion. And upon the return of our CFO, I think it would be appropriate that we gather and look for some budget input.
I wondered if I could put in my 2 cents. The CFO has indicated a 4.9% tax increase. She and I have had disagreement on that. I don't think if you want to meet all of the capital requirements here, 4.9 wouldn't do it. I think there is a perception that we just have too much money. We can just start taking, dipping into it, paying for capital works that we require. I think it's the fiduciary responsibility of council to act in the best interest of the community if we want to remain viable. So we've got to be careful how we spend our money, not just go on and look at a whole list of items that you want. But if it's not normal expenditure, then you have to make sure that there is money put aside for it.
So just a follow-up question to that. So what kind of increase will we be looking at if we were to take your advice on covering all those projects?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit. Yeah.
Would you like to throw a number at it?
If you take it's a shock by 300,000. So each percentage is 22,000.
27,000, yeah.
I don't think you can do it because if you look at the other communities in the area, they're all looking at big increases.
Councillor Sandhu?
Yeah, I was just going to say that, reading up on some of the other local governments, the situations they're in with double digits, possibly with no just status quo is a scary fact. And I think us sitting down with staff and them explaining their budget, their capital requests, and that gives us an idea and as to which direction we should go. And I do believe since we've increased the water and sewer parcel, we need to be very careful about what we approve in 2025.
So for reference, I don't do public math, but I think that'd be a 46% increase to cover all that 1.3 million. Thanks. I did it all in my head on my phone. Okay, any other questions on the finance report? No. Sorry, it wasn't the finance report, it was council input. My apologies. Parks, Recreation and Culture, we have a sunscreen sales update, and that was my subject there. So just for some background, in early 2024, the BC Conservation Foundation challenged the town of Lake Cowichan to make a statement by bringing in a bylaw to ban all sunscreens from being sold in Lake Cowichan that weren't non-nano mineral sunscreens. Following this, I was appointed as the sunscreen rep for the town with a goal to talk to all local businesses about the economic impacts of such a ban and also if they would get on board with such an initiative. Last week, I spoke with all businesses in town and can report that everyone's pretty positive on the action. A local country grocer have already self-imposed this. They only sell RiverSafe sunscreen. The general feeling from everybody else is that it can be achievable. Talking with Fields, it would be a change in their purchases. The IDA would be the biggest struggle as they have a lot of in-house brands that don't accommodate RiverSafe sunscreen, and it would take some runway to move that stock. So the feeling was that nothing could come into effect until 2026, at which time most the businesses would be on board. I kind of just wanted to get the feelings of my fellow councillors on how far we want to take this, whether we did want to make a bylaw on this, as it seems like most businesses are on board. Councillor Sandhu.
Well, I am in support of this. I'm in support of a bylaw, but again, how will it be implemented if people come in? So it's just for our businesses not selling it, but we can't control what people bring into the community.
Yeah, so the idea is that everyone's well aware that they can bring it in from other jurisdictions, like people bring their own sunscreen. So we wouldn't be banning people from bringing it in. It would be just, we wouldn't sell it in town. And the BC Conservation Foundation, their hope was that us making a statement like that might spill over into other areas. and they could take on some similar actions was the idea. So they're kind of looking to us to make a statement as I think we're pretty invested in that river and waterways. So that was the idea behind it. Councillor Vamaka.
I'm happy that just the retailers in the area are doing it just through voluntary compliance. But to our CAO, do we have the legal authority to ban sales of something in our community?
Oh, you can call me anything you want.
Great. Yes, sir.
Given the uptick of the businesses you've chatted with and just one that could be problematic, I would think a statement stating the process that has happened already with the outreach and the accommodating factors of the businesses that have been spoken to, and looking forward to implementing a bylaw in the future should businesses not adhere voluntarily. Might be a starting statement, and then look at the business you spoke of, whether or not that stock would be expired or sold, and then accommodate the whatever one you said, sunscreen, this river safe one, in 2026. Should that not occur, that may be a time to look at perhaps implementing a bylaw. But again, your bylaw is only as good as your enforcement. And I'm not sure that you would have bylaw enforcement going through businesses to see what they had stocked on the shelf, but that would be the only opportunity to accommodate compliance with the bylaw.
Councillor Austin.
Yeah, I don't think a bylaw would be a proper thing to do because IDA, their head office is back in Ontario. And they order for all their IDAs and same as Fields, as a matter of fact. So I think it's just a matter of telling the businesses that's what we'd like to see them do. And I know a lot of them, I know the IDA already has the non-nano implements up there and a sign that says these are safe for the river. And I think that's the best we can do. I don't think a bylaw would work and I don't think it would be legal, actually.
Mr. Smith, did you have a point?
I think I was going to make a similar comment. Basically, different parts of the world use signage as people come into communities just to say, please do not use this type of sunscreen. That probably will be at least effective and polite people will, do the right thing.
Councillor Vamaka? Sorry, Councillor Sandu. I'm struggling tonight.
Thank you. World Water Day is March 7th, and the Cowichan Watershed Board and the Cowichan Lake River Steward Society is going to be holding a event at Saywell Park. Again, restarting the updates and education on the new weir and whatnot. And I think having some information there on sunscreen, like the more we can educate not just our community, but as Mr. Smith said, have some signs here and there and everywhere. And all we can do is just encourage people and educate them on what the bad stuff does to our river and how important it is that we preserve our river. So I think education is important.
I want to thank you for your footwork on this and just getting out there and at least getting the topic to the businesses. Really appreciate you doing that.
And just follow up. So we did talk to Fields and IDA, and they do purchase for all their businesses throughout Canada, but they can give instruction of what they don't want to see in their stores. So both the store managers said that they would initiate these talks. I guess I understand how council feels on this one and maybe the impact that a bylaw wouldn't have and how we would implement that or enforce it. I think to me it's a statement, and there is the BC Conservation Foundation is out there with their signage and their booths at the moment. They're looking for river stewards to step up and try and take action on this thing. But the feeling I get around the council table is that we're not willing to put that bylaw in place or take action. I'd implore you guys to at least have the town put out a statement saying this is something we don't want in our stores, so that we do look like we are not shirking from this challenge. But then again, obviously, I have a little bit more of an investment in this. Councillor Lamoka.
I'm okay with a letter stating that, yes, that's our intent in Lake Cowichan. The only stumbling point is the legal aspect of saying that we are enforcing this. Similar to Victoria with the plastic bag ban, then they were challenged in court. But to put out a statement, I'm in total favor of it.
What about a joint statement with the Chamber of Commerce? I mean, these local businesses are part of the Chamber of Commerce. And I just think if them as a working group and us, if we did a joint statement regarding the education of the good stuff and the bad stuff, at least that's going to get out there a little bit further. Just a thought.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, we'll go to the viewing area at Pine and Prospect Aves by Councillor Austin.
Well, this is my fourth time bringing this to this table. The first time I wasn't even elected, so it's been a while. I sent a missive to everybody explaining, do you want me to read all this or not?
Yes,
No?
every single word.
Do you? Well, I'm just going to say, I'm just going to do a little bit. Tourism meetings in this area since 1998 have had discussions about the fact we need more lake and river access. I won't go on about that. Residents complain about our unsightly properties all the time, and this is our unsightly property on the river. It is important to note that we do not need residents' approval to clear invasive weeds from our property. And QEP Bob Crandall, and I have his email in my package, stated in an email that we can clear down to the river as it is actually a road right of way and exempt from RAR. And I think we have to clear within a few feet of the water's edge. Some locals already go down the riverbank at the end of Nelson to put in tubes and swim, and people don't like it there either. Finding Prospect Avenue isn't going to be for tourists because it's not easy to find. And a lot of local residents have talked over the years that they'd like to see this area cleared. So we have two options. We leave it as a tangled mess forever, and I have a picture of the tangled mess. I'm sure you don't need to look at that. Or the other option is we clear it. We have just a gravel base there. We don't need to put in grass or anything. Put up a barrier that says no parking so that vehicles can't park or enter that area. And Bob had suggested that we plant some native plants along the sides, and that might be the river stewardship people that would like to do that. At our COTW meeting last month, I think it was a regular meeting, actually, I did suggest that staff look at the area and consider costs of the cleanup and barrier and signage. And another sign maybe as you enter Prospect from Nelson and Cottonwood, I think it is, to say residential parking only or something like that. I know people will ignore it, but most people will not, so that there's not going to be parking issues and people doing all that. I think it's just for locals walking around. We walk that way a lot, especially when we had dogs and like to look at the river. And I think we have to make a decision one way or another. It's a mess. It's all just blackberries. And if you look at Pine would go straight into the river at one point. So this is Pine Street. And it goes right into the river, which is, Bob has checked it out. So with having his basic approval, I think we need to go ahead and figure about cleaning that up if we can this year. That's my ask, and a few other people as well.
Councillor Lamoka.
Okay. When I read the letter, I agree that it's a road right of way. And the only thing that my concerns are is that if we make it a access, even if it's not to the tourists, it was stated tonight by the fellow who spoke that it's a fairly deep, quick drop off. And my concern is the proximity so close to the trail that you'll have kids that are going to access that drop off. I'm all in favor of clearing that if Public Works can put it in the budget to clear the area, but not to make it attractive for people to want to use it, because once again, I'm worried about the liability. it's the same as putting a sign up on the bridge that says, do not jump off the bridge, but where do you see all summer kids off the thing? So I don't want to put something there that we're going to end up with maybe a young child going down there and drowning.
Just one more thing, because there's a lot of willow along the water's edge that I don't think we're allowed to clear, it wouldn't be easy to go in the water. They can do that at Nelson Street too, don't forget, and they can do it on the river anywhere. So we can't always not do something because there might be a problem. We just have to be cautious and, people, like they jump off the bridge every year, but our sign on the bridge doesn't say no jumping, it says no diving. So the sign should say no jumping and who's going to, that's not even our road, who is going to, do that and take care of that. So I don't think we should not do something just because there might be an issue. I think we need to clear up our property.
Well, I do support this, and I think that if we could get staff to come back at our next meeting, our regular council meeting in February, just with the cost, then we can say yes or no and just move on with it.
yeah.
If that sounds okay. Okay.
And we gotta go.
And I think, given your statement on our QEP report, I'm wondering when that was done, first of all. Secondly, if there is an update to the riparian area regulations, whether that would have an impact on any work that we would do within that right of way. I know they have changed significantly in the last few years in the updates. So I would like to know that information. I agree that there is a need for lake and river access, but given that most of the lake access is not within the municipal boundaries, I think the only accommodating factor that we have is river access. We have river access at Saywell, at the Duck Pond, at Nelson, as you stated, and the whole contributing factor is parking in residential areas. That was the guiding request from residents who resided on Prospect before, was not to open that because of that nature of incidents. But I would certainly like to see if those updated RAR regulations have changed and whether or not it would still be okay to implement at least clearing the invasive species within the road right of way. It doesn't mean that that is a swimming access or anything else. If we are asking people, as you said, to clean unsightly properties and then not adhering ourselves to the properties that we own, I think that's hypocritical. We have dealt with unsightly premises of our own recently in the newly renovated council chambers and town hall and the displacement of the Mildred Child facility. So we have started to show some leadership, and this could be another example of that. But I think we need at least some input from Public Works and our CAO, our management team, whether or not this is feasible with the regulations, if they have changed, et cetera. So thank you.
So I'm just gonna add to that, most just pretty much repeat what the mayor just said. I have a couple calls into Bob Crandall regarding the regulations, just to confirm that nothing has changed, because things have changed over the last few years. I have looked at it, depending how far you want to go to, it's anywhere between $5,000 to $20,000 to clean it up. And again, depending on how far you want to go with it. And I think the town does have a bylaw, obnoxious weed, blackberries are included, so.
And am I correct in saying that our OCP says that we should be creating more access to river and lakefront access, right? So it fits into, we should. Yep. So I know that it's been brought up ever since I've been on council, it's been brought up a couple of times. So hopefully stop spinning our wheels soon and get some concrete answers and either take action or not. But I would like to see it opened up just as a viewing platform. Is everyone happy to move on from that? Yep. Speed limit reduction on residential streets. Who would like to speak on that? Did I miss that? Sorry, we'll go back. Progress on the sanitary sewer upgrades. Same speaker, I believe.
So lagoons, we have awarded the desludging of cell number 1. They'll be starting the first week of March. To do the actual work, we'll be starting the next 2 weeks to start prepping where it's going to be stored and everything. We've also awarded some electrical work so we can add more aerators this year. And we just got our quotes for an environmental impact study we have to do, and we'll be awarding that the next couple days.
Any questions on that? Gotta get the mic closer. We can't hear you. Rip it out the wall, mate.
It's on, that's fine.
It's on. Mayor McGonigal, would you have a comment on that?
No, I think I'll pass.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. And we'll stick with you for the next one too, for speed limit reduction on residential streets.
I think I put this forward. Previously, I've had correspondence, as I'm sure a few other people have, about not only the school zone implementation that was done at Stone Avenue, and I thank you very much for doing that, but also within residential areas. And one of the examples was Joel Road and Satlam, of excessive speeds along those residential areas. One of the ideas was to look at similar communities that have reduced speed limits to 40 kilometers within residential areas. And I'm wondering if that is something that could be implemented. We have a 40-kilometer speed zone as you come into town. As you go through, it turns to 30 kilometers within the school zones, and then 40 up until the arena. So the majority of the downtown and uptown core are already within the 30 to 40 kilometer range. The outlying residential areas under our current regulations are 50 kilometers an hour. So it would be a matter of combining all speed zones into the same sort of area. If we're looking at residential as opposed to school zones, I would argue that down Satlam and the Green Park there, that you would have as many people in the summertime utilizing that park and perhaps impacting with traffic as you would in a school zone. So just looking at whether or not that's feasible, whether or not that's accomplishable, and it would be a bylaw, I'm sure, just to accommodate that, similar to what Duncan has done. They have some areas within their jurisdiction at 30 kilometers an hour that they have reduced to. So just wondering on the process moving forward, if council is so desirable to follow this.
Yes, I asked about this quite a few years ago about the 40 throughout town, but the main road in town, a lot of people, they go to 40, they go to 30, then they go up to 50. And we were told at one point that if it's not posted, it's 50. So maybe somewhere even after the roundabout, before you get to the next 30, there needs to be another one that will say 40 on the MOT, and that's MOTI road, I understand. I think 40 will help. People will still go 50, but when it's 50, they go 60. So I think it would help. People say they speed up and down King George too, and I know some people maybe think that it looks like we're speeding, but if you're sitting on the sidewalk, you don't have quite the same view of, some of them are, some of them aren't. So I agree with the 40 everywhere. I see if we can do that. 30 is a bit slow for business vehicles and things like that for some things, but
I was wondering if staff had the opportunity to talk to the RCMP about this desire to have it reduced.
we've had some discussions with RCMP, not through the whole town. We had some issues with South Shore, North Shore. There was some misunderstanding of the speed limits there. But one of the things, I think like Carolyn said, it's, all municipal streets are 50 kilometers unless posted otherwise. So if we want to do this, we'll be posting a lot of signs throughout town. If we want to start changing speed limits in different places, it'll be we would have to post it every street, and everywhere we change, we have to post them going both ways. So there's a fair bit of a cost to it. And then who's going to enforce it? So there's a lot of things to think about, but
So if I'm clear, you'd have to have a sign coming off anywhere on South Shore, any road going off would have to have a sign posting the speed limit.
yes.
Okay. Anything else on that?
No, I thought it was important just to at least have the initial discussion on the interest from the community on seeing if we could reduce this. The only other alternative would be similar to Drinkwater Road, if you want to slow people down with speed humps, but that is a significant capital investment as well. So aside from that, just adherence, most people will adhere to speed limits within 10 kilometers an hour because they know that you are within that allowance, you probably won't get stopped. But with the safety of residential zones at 50 kilometers an hour, the impact on a vehicle and a pedestrian, the difference between 40 and 50 is significant in the body damage that occurs in that 10 kilometers, from just bumps, bruises, and scrapes to breaks and major internal injuries, et cetera. So I've done a little bit of research on the impacts of that, but I at least wanted to have the discussion and see what the budget impacts would be, and they would be significant regardless of which way we go. It's not just a matter of saying, okay, we have changed the speed limit, here's the bylaw. It has to be posted, so it's adhered to, at least advertised accordingly.
Awesome. Thank you for that. We will move to new business. So I've got two things there. So one that I'm sure you're all aware of is Charlie Pollock's treatment coverage has been denied after the next two treatments. I know that a lot of organizations have gotten behind and voiced their displeasure with letters to the appropriate ministers. I'm just wondering if you think it would be fitting for the town of Lake Cowichan to send a letter of support or displeasure to who we may about that treatment coverage stopping. I know there was an update that there is going to be a immediate review of the situation, but I think it's important that we get behind this as well. I just want to hear fellow councillors' thoughts on that.
I think given that we have placed a heritage sign on Wilson, mentioning this young girl, that at least a letter encouraging the ministry to have another look at. The only person in BC who is utilizing this enzyme treatment, at least to be reviewed, and a letter of support encouraging the health minister to at least review would be appropriate in my view.
Okay, would it be fitting to have a direction to staff to send a letter to, I guess it would be the Health Minister, Josie Osborne, just encouraging them to rethink this decision? Would everyone be okay with that? Yeah.
Absolutely. We have her address on file, as we've sent her one about the doctors as well. So.
Okay. We'll be pen pals by the end of it. Okay, so we've got direction to staff to send a letter to that effect. Thank you for that. Secondly was the CVRD's plans to roll out beer-resistant cans. I know that they're rolling that out, and I just wanted to get some feedback from staff on, is that a possibility for us? What are these cans that they are rolling out? Because I know that they are self-locking, or that's what they're reporting, that they're self-locking for organics and garbage cans. Is this an option for us in the future, or is this just at the CVRD level?
We have looked into that. I'm not sure if they're self-locking or if, I'm not sure which ones they ordered, or if it's a clip that has to be put in, and when you put it out, it has to be pulled, so it dumps. Matter of fact, we have actually ordered some of the 120-liter cans with bear-resistant lids on them. So we're gonna give people options if it's gonna cost them more, one for the garbage can and then also the pickup, but they will have that option. To starter anyways, it's because it's gonna be a huge cost to change everything. So as the new homes come in, they will have an option. Or if somebody in an existing house wants to buy one, they can come and get one.
Yeah, I think to clarify, I think it wasn't self-locking, but it was something that had a locking mechanism where they wouldn't have to lock it before the truck came around. The truck was able to unlock it before it was dumped.
That's possible. I'm not sure which ones they ended up ordering.
Okay.
If I may, it's the tripping device that I think we brought some information back from UBCM. So if it's just knocked over, the lid doesn't open.
Mhm.
But once it is tipped, there's a gravity sensor that opens the lid and then locks it again. So this 3-stream is implemented within the regional district on all electoral areas. The bear-resistant garbage cans will be replaced for those who are currently in the garbage stream pickup. So Honeymoon Bay will be getting, and Massachi Lake and areas around our area will be getting the upgraded bear-resistant cans that you spoke of. Each one of those has a significant cost. If you look at the CBRD budget on the 3-stream, there was a major borrowing to accommodate the purchase of not only the cans, but the trucks to do the lifting, et cetera. So I think we had looked at probably $45 per can to implement the locking system that we had looked at UBCM, but that would have to be done manually with, a drill and screws, et cetera. But it's a short-term solution. Any new areas that don't currently have garbage pickup will get the bear-resistant ones.
Councillor Austin?
Well, I don't want to be negative, but I actually saw a report on, I guess it was Global in North Vancouver, where they had locking garbage can, and the bear just knocked it over and jumped on it until the lid broke off. So they're not 100%. I think the thing is education, like we say at all our town meetings. And when I go to the health fair, that's what I try to get the kids to do. And, kids do teach their parents. And keep your garbage in and do your best to keep the organics in until it's garbage day. I know it's difficult for some people, but I think that's the best way to do it for now.
So are we going to be putting some new garbage cans in parks then this year?
At the moment, a couple of them, we have a couple of in-ground cans, the deep ones that like we have in Saywell. So one's probably gonna go in Central Park and one in Duck Pond. But that's undecided exactly where we're going with it.
And I know that the council got a letter or an email from a resident near Kate's Park regarding the garbage can removed there. So is there plans for that to be relooked at?
There is, and that's one of the things we have to look at budget, how much money we want to spend this year on some garbage cans, ornamental garbage cans.
Okay, so just for clarity, so there will be an option to purchase one of those garbage cans that are bear resistant if residents choose to do so?
Yes, once we receive them, there's some, they had some issues with delivery, so we haven't received them yet. And it's a trial basis. We got a limited amount, but yes, they can purchase them.
Awesome.
And you know why the delivery issues? CBRD is using them all. No.
Okay, thanks for that. We're going to question, there's no notices of motion, sorry.
Prior to that, I would like to have the floor if I could, if you don't mind. So I'm going to make an announcement. I'd like to announce with both pride and gratitude the retirement of our CAO, Joseph Fernandez, who has devoted 27 years of exemplary service to this town. Since joining the town in 1998, Mr. Fernandez has been instrumental in guiding Lake Cowichan through periods of significant growth and change. His leadership, vision, and dedication have left an indelible mark on the community, contributing to numerous initiatives that have enhanced the quality of life for residents and shaped the town's futures. During his tenure, Mr. Fernandez played a pivotal role in advancing key infrastructure projects, fostering collaborative relationships between the town and its stakeholders, and supporting sustainable growth strategies. His commitment to sound governance and people-centered approach earned him the respect and admiration of colleagues, council, and the broader community. Mayor and council wish to express their heartfelt appreciation for Mr. Fernandez's contributions. And as Lake Cowichan begins the transition to new leadership, council is committed to maintaining stability and ensuring a smooth succession process. Plans to recruit a new CAO will be shared in the coming weeks. And just anecdotally, when Joseph arrived in the town, we were living on a line of credit month to month at the Royal Bank. So with diligence and perseverance, we have been brought to one of the highest approached communities in fiscal management. As a matter of fact, we won an award in 2018, I believe it was, for the most fiscally responsible government in British Columbia. If you look it up, it's the Fraser Institute, I believe, did that study. So kudos to a great career, and I thank you very much, Mr. Fernandez, for all the work that you have done. Wish you well in the future, and please don't be a stranger.
Thank you for that. We'll move on to, is there any notices of motion? Nothing. Question period for off-site. The phone number is 250-749-3239. For anyone in person to ask a question. Nope, we don't have that. Seeing no questions, is there an in-camera tonight? No? Okay, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor, you can pick one. Councillor Palmarka, seconded by Councillor Austin. All those in favour? Awesome, thank you.